Hello everyone and welcome to this Study at ACU webinar. Today we are going to be talking about regional and remote student information. My name is Josh and I'm the Future Student Coordinator at the Australian Catholic University and I'm part of the Future Students team. Tonight we're joined by some of our ACU students who will share their experiences with regional and remote study, and we'll also hear from two of our staff members to talk about various programs related to regional and remote information. Before we jump into the panel discussion with our students and staff member, I'll give you a bit of information about ACU, our programs and the services that we offer. And then you are also encouraged to ask questions and we'll put those to our panel members to answer. We'll do our best to answer all the questions in the chat tonight. So if you do have a question, please use the Q&A function in the Zoom webinar, and then we'll do our best to get to all of those. If you have a specific question related to your personal circumstances, we please ask that you contact our Ask ACU team and that all the questions asked in the webinar are relevant to regional and remote student information. So to begin the presentation today, as with all ACU events, we'd like to acknowledge country. So today we acknowledge the traditional custodians of country and their continuing connection to land, sea and community. We honour our elders past, present and emerging, and I extend that respect to any First Nations and traditional custodians who are viewing this webinar today. So if there's one thing to know about ACU is that we are an incredibly hands-on university. So out of all the universities in Australia, ACU is ranked #1 for graduate employment, and we're in the top 2% of universities in the world. So in terms of employability and graduate outcomes, we do very, very well. And it shows that due to our work placements, internships, and volunteering opportunities, all of our courses have one of these embedded within the program. So students are not only getting the practical knowledge, the theoretical knowledge in class, and in our lab spaces, but we also encourage our students to go out into the field and get that hands-on learning in the industry. So you might be interested in the different courses that we offer here at ACU. So we offer a wide range of courses from allied health to creative arts to teaching to sport and exercise science, human rights. We're launching a range of different courses here at ACU. So if you're unsure about a course, I strongly encourage you to visit our website. We have a full list of courses. You can do a course search. The website is there on the screen for you. And we encourage you to attend open days and other events as well so that you can discuss these courses with our faculty experts, our academics and teaching staff so that you can make informed decisions when it comes time to narrowing down on a course that might be of interest to you. A good pathway into your chosen bachelor degree is to do a diploma. Diplomas are really good pathways because they can be used as a standalone qualification, or you can gain credit into a chosen bachelor degree. So all of our diplomas here are the ones that are offered and they correspond to the campuses. So as you can see here, the Educational Studies Tertiary Preparation course is common across all of our campuses. So that's quite common, for instance, if you don't meet the selection rank or a subject prerequisite for an ITE, or Initial Teacher Education course. Some students might do this diploma and then upon successful completion move into their chosen Bachelor of Education and they may gain credit for the units that they've studied. So that's a common pathway, and diplomas are great because if you're not sure what you want to study, you might do a diploma first before committing to a full bachelor degree, and then you might, if you enjoy that particular topic, that study area, you might go on to do further study. So diplomas are great. For more information about pathways, diplomas, and these courses in particular, please feel free to visit our website or get in touch with our Ask ACU team for more information. ACU also offers a wide range of entry and pathway programs. If you're a Year 12 student, you might be interested in the ACU Guarantee. That's our early offer program designed to alleviate the stress in Year 12 before you sit your final Year 12 exams, and you may be awarded with an early conditional offer prior to sitting those exams. Adjustment factors, pathway diplomas, as I just mentioned. We also have the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander entry program. So we provide support for Indigenous students through the enrolment process and throughout their journey at ACU. So we offer culturally safe study spaces where students can study in, and it's part of our Indigenous higher education unit. We can provide tailored support for those students. We even have a veteran entry program. So this helps veterans who are currently serving in the military and want to transition out of the military across any branch. We provide some additional support services as well. If you are part of a family where there is a family member who is part of the Australian Defence Force, we can also provide some additional support services for you, because we recognise that the pathway to education or to employment may be a bit challenging given the environment that that person is in regards to the ADF. So we want to provide some additional support for you as well. Other programs, the Elite Athlete and Performer Program, Schools Recommendation Scheme, and yeah, the Student Veteran Program that I did mention. I would now like to hand it over to one of our first speakers this evening. So I'm going to introduce Jamie as part of our widening participation team to talk about Uni Step Up. So I'll hand it over to Jamie, please.
Fantastic. Thanks very much, Josh. And I just want to thank everyone for jumping online tonight. As Josh said, my name's Jamie. I work with the Pathways team at ACU, and I just wanted to have a quick chat regarding our Uni Step Up online program. This is a program that targets our regionally and rural and remote-based Year 11 students. So anyone on the call that's currently in Year 10 and in Year 11 in 2024 could apply for this program. And it's where you would study 2 undergrad units across one of 3 pathways. The 3 pathways that we have involved are nursing, midwifery, and paramedicine as our first pathway, business as a standalone pathway, and sport and exercise science. Students develop connections with higher education and get a head start on what it takes to study at tertiary level. So it's like a free throw at the stumps to experience university whilst in Year 11. And then get a real taste of what it's about, and hopefully head off into a direction where you can study in that area. We can see the graphic below there. The program works across the 2 university semesters, which would go across, sort of start halfway through term 1 and finish towards the back end of term 2. So it would be a 10 to 12 week block where students would jump online once per week for a 2-hour workshop, have a little bit of homework in between, and 3 assessment tasks. And then the second part of the year in semester 2, again, there would be 10 to 12 weeks of 2-hour workshops, plus a little bit of homework and our assessment tasks as well. We do get a couple of weeks off in the holidays, like school holidays with the program, which the students appreciate. But you can just see there where it maps and the time of year that the program takes place. We could just move to the next slide there, please, Josh. So why would you do the Uni Step Up program? So it's a pathway to further study. Students who complete 2 Uni Step Up units are eligible to receive an unconditional direct entry offer to a mapped ACU course. And by mapped, we mean staying in the streams that those 3 study areas are aligned with. One of the most exciting things is this program is completely free of charge. So you access the units online. It is an award-based program where you're credited with undergrad units. And they're exactly the same as our undergrad cohort would come in and study. And you don't have to pay for them, and they will not be placed on a HEC step like a normal student would pay for their study. And again, you get a head start on university. So it's test out a subject area and develop your skills, and you become an ACU student with access to all support services like our academic skills, studiosity access, peer mentoring, and one-to-one support is available as well. So we treat you like an ACU university student. And that's one of the great things about the program. And again, you will receive credit as well. So you receive an academic transcript if you pass the 2 units, and you could even potentially use them definitely at ACU and even other institutions if you are headed down that path. Our website is below there, so acu.edu.au/USU. So if anyone has further questions, they can visit the website, and there's email addresses and phone numbers there to support. If there's any Year 10s out there, or any who will be studying Year 11 next year, or even any Year 11s or 12s who have brothers and sisters that are coming through that middle age group and those middle year levels, please pass on the information and share it with them if they're interested at all in the program. And I'll stay on the call as well for any questions at the end. Thanks very much, Josh.
Thank you very much, Jamie, for sharing that. We'll now move into Move through the next slide. We're now going to talk about some of the things to consider when applying for a university if you are going to be a regional or remote student. So perhaps the first thing you might want to consider is accommodation. So if you are looking to move away from home, what are the different options regarding living arrangements? So we'll touch on some of the ACU accommodation services coming up in the next slides. Scholarships as well. So we encourage students to apply for as many scholarships as they think they're eligible for. There could be some money awarded to students to help with this relocation cost as they move away from home. Government support, that's another important thing to think about. And we've got a slide about that. For example, youth allowance, Oz study, all of that sort of stuff. And university support services. So how does ACU support our students with relocation, scholarships, support services with timetabling, enrolling, all that sort of stuff? Our Ask ACU team is a great resource with more information about that. And we'll also have Monique discuss some of these accommodation services as well. So firstly, I'd like to touch on accommodation at the Ballarat campus. So depending on your preference, I guess, we have two different types of options. So we've got our Camillus residence and our managed residences. So depending if you want something more independent or shared with other people, we have these options available. And on the call today in this webinar, we have Julia, one of our current students studying physiotherapy. Julia, would you like to share your experience here at the Ballarat accommodation?
Yeah, so I lived at Camillus for my first year of study. So Camillus is more of a residential hub for first years. So I found it was a really good environment where everyone's sort of in a similar boat, they're in their first year of studies, and there's sort of residential advisors located on the Camillus site. So they sort of provide events, social events or academic events, things like that, to sort of really engage with other first years and meet new people. Now that I'm in my later years of studies, I sort of chose to go into more of the managed residence. So I have a landlord that's sort of separate to ACU, but the middleman in between is the university. So it sort of was a nice way to still gain some independence, but still have the support of the university and things like that.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Julia, for sharing that. And we'll hear from you a bit later on in this webinar as well. Thank you. So in terms of accommodation at the Melbourne campus, we don't have anything on site, if you like, but we have these partnerships or affiliations, if you like, with companies like Igloo Student Accommodation. So we have furnished apartments opposite Queen Victoria Market, but we even have St. Mary's College as well, where a lot of our students stay quite close to campus, in fact. In terms of New South Wales, we have the Miguel Cordero residence. So this is a mix of multi-share apartments and studios. Again, this is fully furnished. And throughout this webinar, feel free to post questions as well, and we'll get to those. And for more information about accommodation at any of our campuses, you're welcome to visit our website or get in touch with Ask ACU. And in terms of accommodation at the Canberra campus, I'd like to invite now Monique to talk about accommodation in the Australian Capital Territory and talk about some accommodation scholarships as well. So over to you, Monique.
Thanks, Josh, and thanks everyone for joining today. I was a regional student as well, so I understand if there's any anxiety or anything like that, but we're here to support you. So we have brand new accommodation in Canberra. And it's a 42-bed purpose-built property. We are right on the Canberra campus, so some of my residents have classes in the exact same building. All of our accommodation is inclusive of electricity, water, and internet. So you only have to worry about providing your own food. I lived on campus accommodation myself, and it's such a good way to meet new people, especially when you're moving from interstate. Josh, I'll get you to go to the next slide. So accommodation scholarships are a great way to reduce your rental cost. So we have a variety of accommodation scholarships available, and you are welcome to apply for multiple scholarships. But if you are offered multiple scholarships, you can only accept one. So the relocation scholarship is available at all of our accommodation sites, and is a $5,000 scholarship towards your rent. The accommodation scholarship is a 20% discount in your rental fees. So in Canberra, that works out to be about $50 a week, which is quite significant. And it's money that you can be spending on food, books, anything else. The Elite Athlete and Performer Program Accommodation Scholarship provides a $2,000 reduction in rental fees. And if you are an elite athlete or performer, you may be eligible to be linked up with an EAPP officer who provides support during your studies as well. And then we also have an Indigenous Accommodation Award, and that covers all of your accommodation costs. So yeah, you don't have to worry about any rental payments while you stay in ACU accommodation.
Thank you very much for sharing that, Monique. And like I said, for any of our viewers tonight, you're welcome to post some questions in the Q&A, and we'll do our best to get those to our panel members a bit later on. So as I did mention, scholarships, we have so many scholarships available at ACU. A lot of people think you have to be really academic to get a scholarship, but that's somewhat true in the sense that we have our merit scholarships if you've excelled in a particular area of study, but we even have our equity scholarships. So if you're facing any disadvantage or hardship, there could be a scholarship out there for you, and apply for as many as you think you're eligible for. Often these scholarships go unawarded because not many students apply for them. So please, we encourage you all to apply. Visit our website, so acu.edu.au/scholarships, and you can see all of those there. And I did mention about government assistance. So this is really important if you are looking to move away from home. There could be some additional financial support available and other services. So the easiest way to get more information about each of these services is to visit the related government websites that you see on the screen there. For example, Youth Allowance, AusStudy, AbStudy, they're quite common, and there's some extra assistance when moving for study as well. So at any stage, if you've got questions regarding this, you can get in touch with our Ask ACU team or by contacting the government services directly. So support services at ACU, it's a really big deal for us. Our smaller class sizes at ACU allow students to have that one-on-one professional relationship with their lecturer. Lecturers get to know students on a first name basis, and students get to know the lecturers on a first name basis as well. So the smaller community classroom vibe that we get allows ACU to provide that personalized approach to learning. We also have peer-assisted study sessions, our academic skills unit, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander support, campus ministry. There's a range of clubs and societies as well that students can be a part of to really immerse themselves in that university experience. So before we get into the panel discussion with each of our speakers, so we've got Monique, Jamie, who you've heard from, Julia, you've heard from regarding the Ballarat accommodation, and we've got Fletcher as well to discuss their regional and remote experience. But I just wanted to touch on a couple of events that are coming up at the university. So we have, like tonight's webinar, we have other webinars that you might be interested in. Very, very popular other Talk with Industry series. So you'll hear from our graduates in terms of their career, the course that they've studied at ACU and where they are now. So it's an honest discussion with them. You'll hear about the challenges of their work, some of the rewarding aspects of their work, and you can ask questions as well. It's really, really good if you're not too sure exactly what, a psychologist does or a dietitian, for instance. You can get more information to help you make that decision. And open day. So you'll see on the screen there, you might be familiar with it. Universities open up their doors and you can get so much information from our faculty staff, our course experts. So each of the campuses are listed there and the corresponding open day dates. So please add those to your calendars and get more information about ACU. And so please feel free to post questions in this Q&A. If you leave the webinar today and you think of a question, you can definitely reach out to our Ask ACU team. You can follow us on our social media platforms as well. And yeah, we'll do our best to get you all the information that you need in preparation for your studies here at ACU. What I'll do now is I'll invite all of our speakers to turn on their cameras, and we'll have a bit of a discussion about their experience, and we'll have questions coming through the Q&A as well. So I think the first question we'll put to our students, I guess. Could you please tell us a bit about why you chose to study at ACU? And I might go to Fletcher first.
Hey guys. Yeah, well, just to quickly introduce myself. I'm Fletcher, and you might have seen in the slides before, I'm second year of a Bachelor of Arts in Western Civilization, and I'm 21. And I guess the reason why I chose to study at ACU was because the course that I'm doing is quite a specialist course. It's offered at there's two universities in New South Wales, and the other one is in Queensland. And so, yeah, I wanted to come to Sydney, and ACU was the spot for me, so.
Fantastic. Thanks, Fletcher. And Julia, why did you choose to study at ACU?
I think what really drew me to ACU was the course itself. So what I really liked about the ACU physio course is that you're studying physio-related skills from first year. So you got that hands-on experience, and the facilities up in Ballarat are absolutely amazing. We have the cadaver labs to learn our anatomy and quite specialist facilities, which is absolutely incredible to work on. But I think having the smaller class sizes in final year, we're about 35 to 40 in my year. So we're quite small, and it creates a really unique relationships with the academics. We're very fortunate that we have a bit of a tradition, because we spend so much time together that at the end of the semester, after exams, our academics will come out to dinner with us. And it's just that environment for me was how I learn best. And I like that small personal approach, and, combined with the benefits of the course, I thought ACU was just the perfect spot for me.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Julia. And Julia, while I've got you, what would you tell a Year 12 student, or any prospective student for that matter, who is considering relocating, moving away from home to attend university?
Yeah, so I'm from Melbourne myself. So I almost did the opposite way, going from metro to regional. I think sorry, I just completely forgot the question, Josh. Sorry.
No, that's all right, Julia. I was just going to say, what bit of advice would you give to, a Year 12 student, or to, any prospective student wanting to move away from home?
Yeah, so I think doing your preparation. So I know in Year 12, when I was on my ALS, we did a little bit of a family road trip up to Ballarat for open day, and got to see the accommodation facilities. And having my parents there as another set of eyes, they were maybe asking some other questions that weren't coming to my mind. So seeing the facilities for yourself, and almost the pre-planning process as well. So finding a doctor before you come sick if you're in a town that you're not familiar with. Also starting to get to know, if you're still on maybe your parents' Medicare cards, starting to transition some of that stuff to more in your own name, because I know sometimes it's a little bit difficult, if you're still on parents' ones. When you are independent or not living close to home. So starting some of that preparation, if you're not too sure how to do your own laundry, or you need some cooking classes, starting a little bit early so you can really get the you're feeling a lot more comfortable, and it's not an added stress when you're transitioning from that high school to university or moving away from home. It's something that you're quite comfortable with, and you can really focus on immersing yourself in a new environment and making the most of maybe living away from your family or going regional.
Sweet. Thank you, Julia. And Fletcher, so I guess same question for you. What bit of advice would you give to a Year 12 student, or a prospective student? Maybe they've been out of school for a bit of time, but they've decided to move away from home. What's something that you would share with them?
Yeah, well, I first want to echo Julia's point. I think that the Medicare card is something that we often forget. Luckily, that just sort of fell into my lap when I came here. But and also cooking, you know, some things. I'm sure some parents right now are nodding their heads about seeing their kids cook and just can see it go so awful. That was definitely the case for me. But yeah, I'd say definitely if you're moving to metro, like if you're moving to the city for study, get familiar with it. And the best way to do that is to make lots of friends and yeah, go out and explore and get to understand how public transport works, things like that, especially if you're getting used to driving yourself around when you're regional. All of that changes. And then just a lot of the same stuff applies, learning how to look after yourself once you've moved out of home. You might need to rush up that process a little bit, whereas some other friends of yours may not need to do something like that. Yeah.
Sweet. Thanks, Fletcher. And yeah, well, I've got you as well. So obviously the life admin is important, but what's the best bit about moving away from home? I guess as you start this next chapter at going to university, like what's the best bit about it?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you just have so much time to yourself. You really are the author of your own life, and you get to call the shots of wherever you go and when you want to go. And noise restrictions don't really apply. All these little stuff that people don't usually take into consideration. But yeah, and lots of friends. You get to spend a lot of time with friends, I'd say. That's good.
Sweet. Thank you very much for sharing that. We've got a couple of questions for Jamie and Monique as well. So firstly for Jamie, so with the Uni Step Up program, do students need to apply for a place in their respective course, or do they get in straight after completing the Uni Step Up program?
Yeah, so they'll feel, if they complete 2 units, Josh, they will get that unconditional offer into that mapped cognate course. So nursing, midwifery, paramedicine, as an example, would be into those degrees and double degrees. If they completed 2 and wanted to go into a non-cognate course, would just have to go on their results of their 2 units then. But at this stage, yeah, if you complete 2, you will get an unconditional offer into those mapped courses.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Jamie. And for Monique, so regarding the accommodation scholarships, how soon do applicants tend to find out if they've been successful or been awarded a scholarship?
So each scholarship will have a closing date, and it's just after that closing date when successful applicants are notified. Each scholarship has a different closing date. But if you go to the scholarships website, it will list under each scholarship the opening and closing dates.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Monique. And I guess to sort of wrap up, I think we've got time for sort of one more question. I think it's for our panelists, for our students, I guess. How do you manage your time as a university student? I guess you've got your studies, you've got your social and personal life, but even to go back home, I guess, to see family and friends, how do you sort of balance that out throughout the semester, I guess? So maybe we'll start with you, Fletcher.
The honest answer, the brutally honest answer is I don't manage it very well. If my parents were watching this, they'd be laughing right now because they know it's true. I think a good way to think about these sorts of things is to measure it in like seasons instead of a strict timetable, because yes, while you've got about 12 weeks to get out content, and it is nice to have a routine, once you move away and everything changes, you move to a new city, maybe you've got a new job to help pay rent, maybe you're doing more work than you thought you would for university, all that sort of stuff. And especially if you're a little bit rusty on writing essays and things like that, but you got to take all of that into consideration. And what ends up happening is you just sort of fall into like doing one thing really well and then forgetting everything else, and your whole life goes out of balance, and then you find the balance again. So and that especially goes for visiting family. Like you just got to try and communicate well and catch up when you can, whether it's them coming to Sydney, for instance, for me, or when you take the train trip home. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Fletcher. And Julia, I guess, how do you juggle everything around?
Yeah, to sort of touch on what Fletcher said, it's all a little bit of a juggling act, I would say, sort of sometimes certain aspects of your life have to make a compromise. So like, you know, if it's a busy time of year where you have lots of exams, so personally in my course, each sort of semester I have roughly between sort of 10 to 8 exams, which is quite a lot. So for me, the end of the sort of semester is a really busy time of year. So that's something where, you know, my maybe social time or sort of work, I'll try and cut down to really make that a priority. But then, you know, it's all, I think priorities change, and each week it's sort of a juggling act to sort of balance everything out. I know for me personally, so I've sort of finished more the academic side of my degree. So I have 30 weeks of placement this year, which is quite a lot. So working full time and then sort of trying to do your studies on the same time, and you've got sort of assignments, a little bit more of a juggling act. So I found trying to be as organized as you can be. So making the little things in terms of, you know, if you've got time on the weekend, doing your meal prep. So, you know, you're not coming home after placement and then, you know, you have to do your washing and start cooking dinner and then finish off that assignment that you have and then spend time with your family. So trying to be organized and almost anticipate for the times that you know that you're going to be busy or that time might be limited. So you can still sort of have that little bit of quiet time or downtime, because that's also really important for yourself, you know, to try and keep you sane and things like that.
Yeah, definitely. Could not have said that better myself. So thank you very much for sharing that, Julia. And yeah, once again, we just wanted to say a big thank you to everyone who has tuned in for the webinar tonight. A big thank you to our panelists, so Fletcher, Julia, Jamie, and Monique. We really appreciate the time that you've taken today to share your knowledge and your experiences here in the webinar. For all of our viewers who didn't get a chance to ask a question, or we didn't get around to answering all the questions today, we strongly encourage you to contact our Ask ACU team or come along to another event, for example, Open Day, to get so much more information. So on that note, we wish you all the very best with your future studies, and we look forward to welcoming you all to ACU at some stage in the future. Take care, everyone, and have a good night.